He was one of the most feared and notorious criminals in Melbourne. And today, the streets of the northern Epping suburb were filled with mourners who came to pay their respects. Sam Abdul-Rahim, also known by his boxing nickname The Punisher, made it to just 32 years old. 2 days after he was shot to death, he was laid to rest. Police say he's been living as a marked man for years.
We are aware that there has been a number of incidents in the past where threats have been made to this particular male.
We've got a world-class fight in front of us. Right.
He was accomplished in the ring, winning 2 Australasian titles. But Abdul-Rahim was best known for his criminal muscle. He did little to hide his fearsome reputation.
You notice his dominant energy when he walks into an area or walks into a room. I think he's used to commanding the control of people around him.
Olivia Jenkins has written extensively about Abdul-Rahim for Melbourne's Herald Sun.
He just has this way of making everybody sort of feel like comfortable. He can be funny and charismatic. He could be quick to anger. He had a very short fuse. If he didn't like something that was written or said about him on the news, he would let you know. He'd find your details and let you know.
Abdul-Rahim had been a target for other gangsters for years. His suspected role in arranging the murder of a leading crime figure in 2016 earned him dangerous enemies. In 2018, he was sentenced to more than 3 years in prison for dangerous driving after a fatal car crash. But it was Abdul-Rahim's role in Melbourne's tobacco wars that put him firmly in the crosshairs of his gangland enemies. Rowan Pike spent more than 2 decades with the Australian Federal Police and the Australian Border Force.
He was involved in one of the criminal gangs. Obviously, there's been a number of now virtually semi-celebrities who've raised their profile on the back of the wealth that they're creating out of the illicit tobacco industry. Some are based overseas. Abdul-Rahim was based in Melbourne. And Melbourne seems to be the centre of much of that violence.
Pike says the battle over the illegal tobacco trade has seen criminals go to war in Melbourne, with more than 100 tobacco shops torched in the last 2 years.
It's all about the money. These criminals are brazenly selling their product. They're flashing their ill-gotten gains and wealth on social media and from overseas and so on. And they seem to have no fear.
Abdul-Rahim survived numerous attempts on his life. He was kicked out of the Mongols Motorcycle Club in 2022. Months later, he was shot 8 times, leaving a funeral, and lived, even posting a picture of bullet wounds in his chest on social media.
That was when he really sort of started to become more of a known figure in the underworld and more of a dominant player.
Last year, he was ambushed outside his home and shot at 17 times. He wasn't hit. Gunmen returned 2.5 weeks later and set his house on fire. Abdul-Rahim wasn't there.
A number of associates and close friends that we've spoken to on and off the record almost came to the assumption that this guy had 9 lives. There was almost this underlying assumption or hope that maybe they couldn't catch him.
Abdul-Rahim was on a collision course with the man believed to be Melbourne's illegal tobacco king, Kazem Hamad. He's believed to be living in the Middle East since being deported in 2023 to Iraq.
The Punisher had a number of shops across Melbourne that were linked to him, and we saw when they were burnt down on a number of occasions, some of them as many as 3 times in less than a month. So the message was very clear.
Facing growing risks in Melbourne, Abdul-Rahim spent more time overseas. He won this Australasian title fight in Thailand last year, when the bout was moved after the Melbourne venue was set on fire. He was careful about his movements. It's believed when he arrived back in Melbourne on Monday, there was a bounty of more than $1 million on his head. Sam Abdul-Rahim only stayed at this hotel one night, but someone found out. Tuesday morning, gunmen were waiting in the car park. This time, he didn't escape. Abdul-Rahim was shot dead by up to 4 men in front of his girlfriend. Soon after, a Porsche SUV was set on fire 1.5 kilometers away. Police believe this was one of the getaway cars. Abdul-Rahim's sister Ektima took to social media just hours after his death with a message for her brother's killer. "Whoever shot my brother to death, I'm after you, motherfucker," she wrote. Olivia Jenkins believes investigators will be bracing for possible reprisals.
Every underworld killing always sends shockwaves through that broader circle, and everybody is always on edge about when the next attack is going to come.
And, says Rowan Pike, the violent battle over illegal tobacco in Melbourne will continue.
I think that's an inevitable outcome of an industry which has been taken over by organised crime. It's just going to keep escalating until someone really tries to turn off the tap.
Sam Abdul Rahim told many people he thought his violent death was inevitable. In the end, he was right.